They called him Machete.
$70 a day for yard work. 100 for roofing.
Get in.
125 for septic. Sewage.
Have you ever killed anyone before?
He kills the bad guys.
It's been one of the most entertaining movies. Machete's been one of the most entertaining movies to put together for me. I mean, I've had the best time. It's because it spans such a long period of time. And I always knew it could, from the trailer to when we shot to even if we did any reshoot with Danny to add some extra bits in. It seemed like it was something I could always come back to. I'm sad it's wrapping up. We're gonna have to do sequels.
Robert actually told me about the character Machete when we were doing Desperado. So everybody thinks it came from the trailer, but actually the trailer came from the story Robert told me. He just said, hey, you know, I really like you for this character. And it was basically the story of Machete.
I wrote it, put it on a shelf, registered it and all that. And then when it came time to do Grindhouse,
Pino and Rodriguez are back. Only this time, they're back to back.
Quentin and I talked about doing fake trailers, and I went, I know what I'm going to do a trailer for. It's a movie that I've already got in my head. I can write the trailer in 2 seconds because I already know what the movie is. And I kind of wrote it different for the trailer, a storyline that would fit into a trailer.
He was given an offer he couldn't refuse.
So then what happened after the movie came out is people gave that the highest marks of anything. People loved that trailer. That's what opened the movie. They had never seen a Mexploitation before with an actual Mexican superhero. They had just never seen it. So it felt very new and very different. And Danny's attitude and Danny being in the headline position, people just ate it up. When we decided to finally make it, after a few years of everywhere I'd go, more than Sin City 2, people would say, are you going to make Machete? And I would lie and say, oh, of course we were, sure we are. And they would get very excited. So I thought, okay, we'll have to make it. And what's stranger is I want to keep everything from that original trailer in this movie. So years later, we're going to shoot new material that fits into it. So I had to work backwards and write backwards. Like, how does he end up in the waterfall with the 2 beautiful women? And figure out a scene and put a twist on it so that it surprises the audience who's so familiar with that first trailer.
I kept asking him, can we shoot that scene again, Robert? Hey, Robert, can we shoot? No, we already did it. We got it.
We did that years ago.
I love the character of Machete because he's really just a hard-working guy, ends up a superhero, but doesn't have to wear tights or spandex. You know what I mean? So
this is the perfect Danny Trejo vehicle. I mean, he starts in Mexico. He's already the best Mexican federale agent in Mexico. And because of the situation down there with the drug cartels and that, he's uncorruptible, which makes him a huge target. And his family's wiped out. He's pretty much burned up, left for dead. Escapes to the U.S. working as a day laborer and encounters a lot of the same corruption from both sides of the border working together and kind of cannot stop being the badass cop federale. He goes and investigates it, figures out what's really happening and brings it all down. He becomes this very iconic character that people have been waiting for to make sense out of this situation.
He goes from ex-con to icon.
Corruption's so deep, coming from both sides, and no one is willing to tackle that ever. And that's what the problem is. And that's why you have to create a superhero to come in and say, well, this guy could at least make some sense out of it to make people more aware of what's going on.
That's him.
CIA, FBI, DEA all rolled up in the womb.
I'm still doing out of how I started. I started and made, mariachi out of my apartment, and the studio bought it. And so I realized, wow, I don't have to relocate over there. I can use the resources I have here in my hometown, be closer to my family. And it turned out to be a very smart move because you end up coming up with new ways of doing things because you're not near the system that does things very traditionally when you're moving away. And George Lucas told me that. He goes, you're going to come up with things you wouldn't normally come up with, because when I lived outside of Hollywood in Marin County, I came up with the idea of digital studio, the Avid, Pro Tools. He came up with all these different things because you do what makes sense creatively and not, well, what is everyone else doing? Okay, I'll do it their way. You do the way that really makes most sense, and then you end up coming up with something like how to do Sin City or doing 3D with HD cameras before anybody was doing that. So it really isn't as an antagonistic way. Everything that happens in Hollywood happens. I just find I'm more productive, a lot more productive, when I'm kind of out on a ranch somewhere making a movie far, far, far away.
But they soon realized
Coming after us.
They just fucked with the wrong Mexican.
I mean, I have a lot of effects in it, but it's very much in some of my realistic movies where you don't know they're effect shots. They're enhancements that you wouldn't normally think are effect shots, just to make everything look real, yet over the top enough, big, huge. Yeah, they're invisible effects.
Thank you, Trejo.
I'm on the floor of I know.
It's our crew shirt. It's our crew shirt.
If you're gonna hire Machete to kill the bad guy, you better make damn sure the bad guy isn't you. Machete.
Actually, I write children's books in my spare time.